I'm sitting here beside one of the most beloved and valuable artistic assets that I have. It is this calligraphy, original calligraphy in the hand of Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. I got this piece of art, I bought it when I was in Plum Village in 2014, which is amazingly enough 10 years ago now. It was one of the last pieces of art that Thich Nhat Hanh would have produced, because shortly after I left Plum Village, he had a major stroke and he was paralyzed on the one side and therefore was not able to write or to produce any calligraphy. Plum Village was established in 1982 by the Venerable Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. My time there was during a period of sabbatical that I took in 2014, and it was one of the most profound periods of time in my life. I was nourished and fed in ways that are difficult to express in words, although I have tried. And in fact, one of my books of poetry, Eternal, is dedicated to Thich Nhat Hanh, because really it speaks of the essence of what I gained at Plum Village. The poems in that book were not all written after Plum Village. In fact, many of them were written a decade before. But the essence of the collection of those poems speaks about the unity, the oneness, the extreme peace. Extreme is the wrong word. The deep peace that I experienced. Being in the presence of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, and by the way, I have a photograph of him here, which is one of my beloved photographs, because I took this when I was sitting in meditation just a couple of feet away from him. Being in the presence of this man was one of the most powerful things that I've ever experienced in my life. Now, the thing to know about me is that I'm not a guru worshipping kind of person. In fact, I kind of recoil at the idea of guru worshipping. So when on that day and on many other days I was in the presence of this man, it kind of took me by surprise and overwhelmed me, the feeling that I had. The very first time I was in his presence, I just was brought to tears. I literally started to cry, and I didn't know why. And in a lot of ways, it agitated me. It pissed me off, because I'm not a guru worshipping kind of guy. And what was I doing crying in the presence of this man? The thing is that the energy of his presence is something that I still to this day cannot put into words. Those that have been in the presence of, and there are other people like this in the world, those that have been in the presence of real masters of being in the now will understand what I mean, but it's difficult to convey in words. In any event, one of the things I want to discuss is the significance of this calligraphy. Enjoy the present moment, it says. Enjoy the present moment. What could be the significance of enjoying the present moment? I mean, it is something that's really not well understood, because it's not really taught to us. These days, more and more, it's coming into mainstream media. And with platforms on social media and with people able to express themselves personally like I'm doing now, there's more and more of that coming into the world, where it is understood the value of the present moment. But it still isn't something that's taught to us in our schools. It's not something that's taught to us as a matter of course of our lives. What is this importance of the present moment? I remember reading a book, The Power of Now, some 20 years ago, I think, by Eckhart Tolle. There are many people that have spoken about this elusive. And I say elusive because you think you're in the present moment, but actually the mind flitters into the future and the past. We live not in the present moment, not in our physical bodies, we live in our mind. And the mind has the ability not only to time travel, but to space travel as well. You could find yourself in New York City just in your memory. You go into the past, you move into the future. And this is what creates anxiety in us many times. Living from a future-based type of thinking creates fear, because it's a fear of, what if I lose what I have? What if I don't get what I have? What if this relationship doesn't work out? What if I don't have enough money? What of my old age? That's all future-based thinking. And then past-based thinking leads us to sometimes feel guilty or remorseful or even eroding our self-esteem, regretful for what we did in the past. Now, sometimes it's very good to examine the past because it's from the past that we learn from our mistakes. But when we live in the past as a matter of like this moment now, I'm not here, but I'm in the past, I'm in those mistakes that I made, it gives me a sense of an eroded self-esteem and self-worth, or at least it can. To feel remorseful about things that we did wrong in the past is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because from there we can course correct and not do that again. Because it's in the present moment now that we create the future. The present moment is the point of power where our actions, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions create what's going to come into our lives, at least partially. There are a lot of other factors as well. It's from the past that we learn lessons. I did this and it worked out really well. It taught me this. It got me this. It enabled me to feel peaceful, to feel confident, whatever it is. Or I did that and that didn't work out so well. That was a mistake. I shouldn't do that again. But the value of enjoying the present moment is simply the fact that it is in the present moment, as Thich Nhat Hanh always said, that we are truly alive. Truly alive. In this moment, in my physical body right now, I'm alive. I look out of the window behind the camera and I see the blue skies and the white puffy clouds now. This moment. For me, nature is extremely powerful. It's extremely nourishing. In fact, it was a major source of inspiration for my book, Eternal, my first book of poetry. I'm really nourished and inspired by nature. I learn a lot of lessons from nature. Trees have been amongst my greatest teachers. Just watching the ability of a tree to let go of its leaves in autumn is a lesson in fearlessness, not fearing impermanence. And impermanence is really one of the only factual truths in life. Nothing stays the same. Trees let go of their leaves. They don't grasp, they don't hold on. And then spring comes and summer comes and they've got a full, fresh body of leaves once again. They've been refreshed and rejuvenated. In winter, they're naked and stark, bare. I remember that I used to look at trees in winter and I used to feel a sadness because of how bare and stark they were. And then I realized one day as I was walking in nature, and I had one of my favorite trees that I used to spend time with, and this tree literally taught me, I am not to be pitied. I am resting, I'm refreshing, I'm rejuvenating, I'm meditating. The present moment is where life happens. The present moment is where we get the ability to choose to act in different ways or to act in the same ways. But when we do this mindfully and with awareness, it creates power for us, literally. I'm not a believer that we control our lives. I don't think it's possible to actually control our lives. There are so many complex factors, including environmental and external factors, including intergenerational and ancestral patterns within us, including all sorts of really deep and complex stuff that I'm not going to go into here. Yes, we do control our thoughts to an extent. And when we train ourselves to do that, and I've been fortunate to have had as a friend and as a mentor and as a teacher, John Kehoe, who's one of the foremost leaders in the world of working with your mind, having written the book Mind Power into the 21st Century, which was an international bestseller, selling millions of copies. So, yes, we do have a certain amount of control over our thoughts, definitely, if we train ourselves to. If we don't train ourselves to, we've got absolutely no control over our thoughts. But do we control life? If you look deeply enough, and I know there's a school of thought about us attracting everything to us, and there is definitely a certain element of truth to that, for sure. But, my friends, we do not control life. Just when you think everything is going the way you want it to go, something will come up to disrupt you. And you know what? A lot of the times, that's a good thing. because it nudges you on the course in the right direction. It's a bitter pill to swallow and a hard lesson to accept. But sometimes the most difficult circumstances that we go through in our lives are the ones that really form and shape us. They guide us. I believe that the universe is alive. This is something that I've believed since I was a young boy. I have a vague recollection of me looking up at the stars, at the night sky, and just knowing that this and me were one, that we were not separate entities, that I was not a separate outside entity from all of this amazing vastness, the universe of which I live. I remember watching a series called Cosmos on TV. The late great Carl Sagan was one of my role models. He described in such a beautiful, scientific, and yet poetic way the universe, the vastness of the universe. It's so incredibly huge that we are less than specks of dust. And yet here we are, individuals with the power to feel, the power to think, the power to act. So yes, we do have agency in life. Let me be clear. But overall, it's very difficult to believe that we control everything. And therefore, it's important for us to be able to anchor ourselves and to have a strong core, a strong center. And that comes from practice. The practice of learning how to enjoy the present moment, to bring ourselves into the now. And of course, there are many ways and techniques that we can do that. The simplest of all is to simply be aware of the sensations in your body, of your breath, of your thoughts. The more you train yourself, the more you practice doing that, the more you can do that. And the more you train your powerful subconscious mind to keep you on track, to keep in the present moment, but also to let you know about what's going on in the background of your mind. We have all these background programs running all the time. A lot of them are negative. A lot of them are self-defeating, and we don't even know they're there because by definition they are unconscious, or what Carl Jung called shadow aspects of ourselves. But by working with the subconscious mind, using all sorts of different techniques, we train it to flag us and to tell us what is going on. We also train ourselves to be able to handle the capacity of being in the present moment. So I'd just like to stop for a second or two and just become aware of myself, my body, my breath, the sounds in this room and beyond, sounds that you may be able to hear or maybe you won't be able to hear. But you can do the same thing in your environment right now, is to stop and just be aware of your present moment now. The miracle of being alive. Your breath going in and out. The physical feelings and sensations in your body. Maybe tension, maybe relaxation, maybe joy, mental formations, thoughts, emotions, sadness, joy, happiness, greed, jealousy, anger, fear, confidence. All of these things are part of who and what we are as these amazing, mystical, magic beings. Now, the purpose of this little introductory talk, as I sit here in my Plum Village t-shirt, is to remind myself, and at the same time share it with you, that the present moment is the point of power. It's the point of departure. It's the point where we start to practice any kind of real, valuable personal development and spirituality. Because spirituality is a practical thing. It's not theoretical. Yes, we do take in information. We do take in knowledge. We do take in a lot of data and stories. That's important. But then, real spirituality needs to be practical. It's what you do with what you know, not what you know. What you know itself is useful, but not powerful. When you apply that into your life and practice it, it becomes powerful. And that is my definition of spirituality. As Socrates said, know thyself. Gnothis self-ton. That was the starting point of my spiritual journey. He's one of my cultural ancestors. I'm Greek, and I was drawn to the philosophers. I was drawn to Plato. I was also drawn to the Eastern traditions. So let me just stop and bring it back into the present moment as I end this little rhetoric with an exercise in present moment awareness. I'm going to invite us to become aware of our breath, to become aware of sensations in our body, to become aware of our immediate environment, and then to cast our senses, our sense of hearing, a little further afield and hear what you can hear. Be present. Be here. Enjoy the present moment. And as you start to settle into that, and you start to become aware of the sensations and the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions, that is empowering, because that brings you into an awareness, a mindfulness at a deeper level of who you are in this moment. And then, by all means, in this kind of state, you can start to discern about past mistakes, about past successes, and also to plan for your future. It's in this space that you want to do that. You see, you don't want to plan for the future from a place of fear or anger or greed. You want to plan for the future from a place of peace. In this moment. Now. I have a collection of different instruments on the side of the camera here, and I'm just looking for one of them, perhaps, that I can end off this little segment. This one. It was a gift from a friend of mine, a German friend of mine, Thomas, for my birthday back in 2006, a long time ago. It's called a hokkema, and it's a type of mbira or kalimba. I'm going to end off just playing a little bit. Thank you for joining me. All right, let's check out and see how that went.